So in this scenario, we have the rail diesel car passenger train heading northbound towards Calgary here in Castlegar. It's at the station on the main line, and you can see it on the indicators being detected by the LCC system and displayed here on the model board. Over here in Nelson is Freight Extra 2014, which is heading southbound out of Nelson. So let's pretend this is the pre-Amtrak days and the passenger train actually has priority over the freight. And so I'm going to set up a route in order to send the passenger train into Nelson where the station is. So the first thing I'm going to do is throw the switch here in Nelson into the reverse position, hit the code button, which activates everything that I've changed in that column. Now I can see that the turnout at South Nelson has turned to the reverse position. Now, in order to give the passenger train authority to go, I need to set up a route. He's moving left. I know that's north, but it doesn't matter. It's on everything on the CTC machine is oriented either a left movement or a right movement. So this is going to be a left movement. So heading out of Castlegar, I need to set the signal up for a left movement. I don't need to set the signal up here in Nelson for left movement because that train as it enters into Nelson has nowhere else to go off the single track. I only need to set up a movement to give it authority to enter the single track that is between Castlegar and Nelson. So when I hit the code button, it's going to activate the green signal, which I can now see. At this point, the train will begin to move. Engineer will see the green signal and the train will begin to move northbound. It's just entered the OS block, which I heard the bell alerting me to that fact. And when it entered the OS block, it knocked down my route because it's now passed through there and it's gonna go all the way into Nelson. We can see the indicators here showing where it is. In addition, these are the directional indicators. So the machine is telling me as the dispatcher, so I know that this train is not only in this block, but I know it's moving to the left, or in the case on my railroad, which is northbound. So I can see both the direction and where that train currently is. Oh, the train has just entered the next block down. So it's past the halfway point, and it should be coming up into Nelson shortly. As soon as it enters that OS block, I will hear the OS bell, and I will see that block light up red. So now I can see that the train has cleared the turnout and it's arrived at the station. So at this point, I can now route the Freight Extra and give it, even though the track is cleared, I have not set up a movement yet for the Freight Extra to depart on Nelson. So the first thing I'm going to do is normalize the switch. I could have done this actually in setting both levers before hitting the go button, but it doesn't matter. And now I'm going to set this switch up for this signal up for a right-hand movement. I can see now that he's received a green. And he is able to depart from Nelson. Once again, I can see he's heading towards the right or southbound on this railroad through the directional indicator. The northbound passenger, RDC, has finished picking up his passengers in Castlegar, and the engineer moves out of the station and pulls forward to the signal at North Castlegar. The signal in North Castlegar is red, indicating to stop. The dispatcher is not yet aligned a route, has not yet set up a route for the RDC. As a dispatcher is aligned a route for the RDC, it now gets a green signal and is able to proceed northbound towards Nelson. As the RDC approaches Nelson, it sees a yellow signal meaning approach, which means he's going to be routed on. He's been routed by the dispatcher onto the siding where the station is. Yellow indicating to proceed at a slow speed since he's taking that diverging route. See, the signal turns to red once the RDC has passed into the control point. Once the RDC is cleared and the dispatcher has aligned the route for Freight Extra 2014, the signal goes from red to green, indicating clear, and the freight train can proceed southbound towards Castlegar. As soon as the freight train hits the OS block, the signal drops to red, protecting his rear end.